Maybe I didn't. I think I was pushing the wrong one.
I was gonna say, I told her earlier I tested it. I was like,
Rochelle. Am I good? I hereby open the regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Chickasha Public School District 26 I-001. The meeting was properly posted in compliance with the Oklahoma Open Meetings Act 25 OS sections 301 to 314, and the time is 6:02. And that would take us to roll call.
Here. Cliff.
Here.
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 Here. Pledge of Allegiance, the Lincoln Elementary School.
Lincoln Elementary, Joseph Pennington.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank
very much. We
you.
appreciate it.
Good job. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy little schedule to come attend our board meeting. We appreciate having you. Item number 4 is recognitions.
So tonight we have our very own Mayor Chris Mosley, who is here tonight to present a proclamation to Joe Mulder. Come on. He knows. He knows. He knows.
There you go, got put on thick for him. But Joe and I served on council together for a couple of years. And if you don't know him, Joe is really a good guy and would think things through, deep thoughts and such. And some of y'all may not believe it, but it really does. So we made a proclamation for his actions back in February the 28th. And it says, how many years are you in the school district? Very good. Joe Mulder is a senior veteran. I don't know if you lost, senior or game. Joe Mulder Joe Mulder is a senior veteran teacher, coach, mentor, coordinator, assistant athletic director, and bus driver for Chickasha Public School System, Chickasha, Oklahoma. Whereas Joe Mulder displayed heroic efforts on February 28, 2022, when the bus was transporting 7 students and began developing problems. And whereas Coach Mulder safely evacuated the students from the bus and began to investigate the bus issue. The bus quickly became engulfed in flames. Coach Mulder notified emergency services and ensured that the students remained calm and were safely transported to their destination. Now, therefore, I declare March 7, today, 2022, in honor of Joe Mulder. This day is known for it as Joe Mulder Day.
All right. Woo! That's awesome. I have never had a, thank you. I've never had a whole day named, honored, or anything after me. We are very proud of Joe. Just to let everyone know, if you're wondering, like, why are there no news stories? Well, after some discussion, we just decided that tonight would be all the recognition that Joe really wanted. But we did have multiple news channels reach out to us and wanted to do stories on Joe. And he just was like, nah, that's what I do. Just take care of kids. And so we're very appreciative of him. So thank you. All right. It's always our privilege every month to have the Wilkersons here to do our Chicken Express Employees of the Month. And so
Absolutely.
welcome. Thank you for coming again.
Welcome, welcome.
Hey, you know what? So it's good tea. I can't argue with it. My personal favorites, half sweet, half unsweet. Mix it together. You're good for the afternoon. So anyway, tonight we're recognizing Mary-Ann Ward and Alice Ketchum. So we'll do Mary-Ann first. Dr. Johnson, come on up.
Just want to let you know what an amazing teacher Mary Ann is. Mary Ann was here when I got here. She's been here a total of 16 years. Total of 22 years overall in education. Mary Ann has a great relationship with her students. She makes herself available to not only their academic needs, but also personal needs. She's very resourceful of finding ways to show how much she cares about seeing her students succeed at life at a school. So we are super appreciative of Mary Ann. We love that she is still on board with us and hanging out. She teaches at Purcell and at Winningwood. She teaches in Purcell in the daytime and at Winningwood at night. And so we keep her on the road a lot. Graduated from Chickasha High School. She did.
All right. Fantastic. Oh, gotta get your photo, Marianne. You gotta come back. You gotta, oh, come on, you can do it. Congratulations, Marianne. Our support employee of the month, I have not seen her out here yet, is Alice Ketchum from Child Nutrition. Mr. Turner, if you could come up here and accept that on her behalf. You are a poor substitute, but we'll take it.
Did he really say that?
I did. I did.
Tell you a little bit about Alice. Alice has been with Chickasha Public Schools for 26 years. The three things that she loves to do is she loves being a grandmother, and she loves attending ball games of her grandkids. And she's a lady after my own heart. She loves to go to estate sales. She said, "You never know what treasures you're going to find," and that's just a little bit about Alice. She's a wonderful worker to have in the central kitchen and does a great job for us. I'll do that.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Tonight, I'm going to ask our own Jerry Don to come up and make our next introduction. But ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special recognition tonight. And I'll let him take it from there.
All right, Dylan, come here, Coach Randall. So this is Dylan Bratt. He's a freshman at Chickasha High School. He finished wrestling season 28-0, undefeated state champion. A great wrestler and a better young man, represents us very well. Won our tournament, won numerous tournaments, obviously undefeated. We sent 6 wrestlers to the state tournament, and our junior high finished first at junior high state as a public school, and the future is very bright. So we're very proud of Dylan and all his accomplishments, and of course, Coach Randall's guidance. So one more time, Dylan.
Who did you bring with you tonight?
Yeah, let's put them in the picture.
Let's get mom and dad up here so they can get up here and celebrate with you. This is pretty awesome. This doesn't happen all the time.
Sure doesn't. They've done a few road miles.
Oh, yeah, they've been to a few. Come on, come on.
Been there all night.
Yeah, we just duck. Congratulations, Dylan. That is our recognitions for this evening.
Thanks for coming and congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
run or you get caught.
Item number 5 is public comment. We have none tonight. Item 6, staff reports.
So tonight we have Milton Bowens, our curriculum coordinator. I've asked him to give us a update just on curriculum and instruction. So if you'll turn your attention to one of the screens, you'll be able to see his presentation.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
This is going to be a brief overview of some of the goals and focuses of our curriculum and instruction for Chickasha Public Schools. Our goals are to promote a district-wide implementation of our state standards, to develop a rigorous, relevant, and relatable curriculum for all of our students. Also, one of our goals is to have a vertically and horizontally aligned curriculum which includes pacing guides, maps, and unit materials for first year and emergency cert teachers. Also, to develop and support instructional leaders within our district. That part of our curriculum focus is helping to grow and develop our teachers as instructional leaders. Also to coordinate alignment of professional development with our district instructional goals. We want to make sure that all of the PDs that we're sending our teachers to and that they're going to are aligning to help further the instructional goals of our district. Our 2021 and 2022 areas of focus have been establishing curriculum teams for elementary and secondary, to initiate data teams, and I'll speak more on that in just a moment, and to have a vertically aligned curriculum for this, which we started this year based on our OAS essential standards. Also establishing a resource adoption process for our district to make sure that the purchases that we're making, the resources that we are adopting are in line with our OAS standards, make sure they're aligned with our district focus and are the best possible resources we can get for our students and our teachers. And also an area of focus have been course alignment at our high school. Our curriculum committees, we have a secondary and elementary curriculum committee. Those were established this year. Elementary has representation from all of our grade levels, and as well as our secondary team also has representation from all of our subject areas, including our spec ed. We want to make sure that they're involved every step of the way in the process. And both are working on subject area pacing guides as part of their work for this year. The purpose of data teams that you heard me mention earlier was that we want to build a professional learning community. And so, which is a group of educators that meet on a regular basis. They share expertise, they share and work collaboratively. The model of a teacher being in their room by themselves all day, figuring things out, is no longer a model that's going to work for our students moving forward. So we want our teachers to really engage in a collaborative work and move away from my students versus your students to our students, knowing that we all have a shared responsibility for all of our students. We want to also use our data teams to improve teaching skills, sharing what's working, what's not working, best practices, and have that type of collegial and collaborative work environment, as well as using data to help identify gaps in learning needs of our students in real time. We can't teach for 3 weeks and then test and realize kids are missing things and then just move on from there. We have to make sure that we're monitoring our students' progress along the way. And so that's the purpose of us having data teams. The vertical alignment, you heard me mention essential OAS standards. Essential means they have to have endurance, leverage, and intentionality, which simply means, is this standard going to get them ready for the next grade level? Is this standard going to connect them across areas? Are the skills transferable across all subject areas? Our essential standards receive an enhanced degree of instruction and monitoring and remediation emphasis. We're not eliminating standards, but we're prioritizing certain standards that help our students move forward. We know that a lot of our courses have a lot of info and skills to try to get in a single year. And so we want to make sure that the most important pieces, those building blocks, are monitored for our students' progress. And if at any point you all want to stop me and ask a question, you're free to do so.
Thanks, Bill. I was just going to say, for example, for us, what would talk about essential standards, and you have others that still apply, have to be taught. What would you give us an example of that?
So let me speak to history, because that's a subject I taught. So a essential standard is causes, right? So the root causes of certain historical events. Those are the essential standards. Names, dates, people, all the other little things, those are supportive standards, but really making sure students understand the cause and the effect of things. Also, we have what's in our practice skills or standards, are skills that students have to have. So analysis, critical thinking, being able to read maps, charts, and graphs are essential across the subject matter. It's not just a history thing, it's a math, science, and even ELA can work in there as well. So we're making sure that those skills are covered. Yes.
I have a question. Oh, so you were saying that the essential is the cause, and that lines up with the Oklahoma standards?
Yes.
So that's who
Yes.
has determined that the causes is more important than the dates and the.
Yes.
Okay.
And so really how that process works is that our teachers look over all of their standards for the year, and they look at what is a student, let's say for high school, what do they need to know ninth grade to be successful in 10th grade? And so they identified those academic standards, and those are the ones that are monitored and emphasized so that students can progress on. And it is going to be different in every core area. Even some of our elective teachers have already started the process of working on their essential standards. So our art department has really worked hard from Bill Wallace forward on identifying those essential skills for students to move forward with. Right. District resource adoption process. So our process, when I came in, I kind of noticed it was a little bit kind of scattered a little bit. Not bad, it was just a little scattered. So one of the things that we wanted to do is make sure that we're selecting state-approved, OAS-aligned, highly rated titles for review. So what the state now offers is they have a ranking system and a rubric that they use to make sure that it meets their high quality standards. We look from that list of resources and we do a review process ourselves over that to make sure that those are going to work for us. The curriculum committee members, along with their site principals, will kind of facilitate that review at each site through their individual data teams. So the lead teacher or the one that serves on the curriculum committee will bring the resources to the team. They have a district rubric that they'll use to assess that across a wide variety of areas that we thought were important. And then they will submit that information back to us as a district to move forward on that. And so that we wanted to have a streamlined process to make sure we don't want resources being adopted or purchased and not used. We want to make sure that they are fully supported. So if we do purchase something, is that publisher, that vendor going to support training and professional development for teachers to get the best use out of it? We don't want to see things sitting in a corner. We want to make sure that they're usable by our teachers and also the best resource for our students, not necessarily the one with the most sizzle. We're looking for steak instead of all the sizzle. Course alignment work. Mr. Crossland and myself have been working with the high school. We're adding our APN and honor courses back at the high school. We're aligning courses to make sure students are provided with more opportunities and pathways forward in their learning. And we're also integrating ICAP, which is an individual career academic plan that the state requires for students. And we're requiring now moving forward that ICAP is going to be emphasized across the board in all of our core areas. So whether you teach history, ELA, math, science, art, band, that you're going to have some type of career focus in that course to show how what you're learning applies to outside of school. And so we're really excited to see that really start to take root next year. A timeline. This has kind of been our current timeline where we are for curriculum and instruction. ELA, pre-K through 5th grade, is in the adoption process of reading materials. If you're not aware, our teachers have been going through the science of reading training with Kendra Shank as our facilitator. And so they're really looking at each resource in depth, really making sure it's going to line up with that training that they're getting. So the review process will end for them on March 25th, if not sooner. And then we will hopefully be able to get an order placed or ready to be ordered by April 11th. We want to try to get resources in so that our teachers can get their hands on them and prepare for next year. With that, we'll have a summer curriculum workshop of about 27, 28 teachers, tentatively set for May 23rd. And during that workshop, we're going to review and update all of our course pacing guides or finish those that are not complete. And we're also going to have some curriculum and instruction training on how to use those and the best instructional practices to help our students with literacy is going to be the focus for this workshop. We want to provide our teachers with the curriculum and pacing guides and professional development for implementation at the start of the 2022-2023 school year. And next year, we're asking that through their math and ELA data teams, or even in their grade level data teams, that they start the process of a horizontal alignment, making sure that all the teachers in third grade are kind of moving in the same direction, making sure all the English 1 teachers are moving in the same direction. And so they'll be doing that work because it's important for teachers to be hands-on and involved in that work. And so they will be starting that next academic year. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
On the data teams, have
Yes.
y'all figured out kind of that you're happy with a lot of the assessments, there's a few more assessments you need to do? What's the discussion and kind of outlook there?
But with data team, we're really at the very beginning stage of that. If Dr. A was here, I would recognize him. Lincoln has done a phenomenal job. All of our sites have really done a good job of this lift, but Lincoln has been a little bit more gung-ho in their teachers. They've actually started a book study on learning how to really work as a team in collaborative work. And so I'm really proud of all of our sites, but Lincoln's teachers have been really hungry for this collaboration. In terms of your question, what they're noticing is that some of our assessments need to be tweaked some. Teachers are building assessments. So they're building what's called a CFA, a common formative assessment, where they can make sure that they're all assessing the same key indicators that they've picked for themselves. And so in that process, some of our newer teachers are learning what makes a good assessment, how to write a good assessment, how to make sure it's on the right level of blooms. And so, so we're kind of mixed bag across the district, but they're really looking at how to build their own assessments. And then we'll use some eventual benchmarks and things like that to make sure we're all on the same page.
And this is a great opportunity for us to put out the emphasis that we're concerned about curriculum here and that we're going to get our alignment back up and going. I think it's great that we're doing pacing guides and looking at assessments. My question for you is, my favorite saying has always been, we don't assess for the reason just to assess. So are the principals involved? And then
Absolutely.
how are you putting accountability into this process?
Into the curriculum work as a whole, yes, the principals are involved. They're involved with their individual data teams at their sites. Mr. Crossan gives me the opportunity to meet with the principals during their district meeting. And several of the principals reach out to me about curriculum needs, different things, instructional needs that they have at their site. So they're really on board with this work.
So in your 3-week process that you have teaching and you do your assessment to see where they're at, then we come back together and we spend a week leveling. This group takes the kids who got it and move them forward. This one, I mean, are we there yet, or is that where
we are working towards that process. Yeah.
Yep. So we'll take some big leaps in this when we take about 50 people to the PLC conference in
Yes,
June to
absolutely.
St. Charles. And that will be a good time when they all hear the whole process. They hear all the background, the reasoning behind it. And then at that conference, they'll be building their own plans for each site that they'll be bringing back and helping lead the work at their site. So each evening at that event, I'll be leading something with the group as we talk about how we're going to bring this back and keep moving this work forward. Because what gets monitored gets done.
Absolutely.
And we are monitoring it and we are moving forward and on all cylinders. So anyway, it's good stuff. I love it. I thought you guys might all want to hear this tonight
Absolutely.
because there's been so much work happening in this area this year. Milton's
Thank
done a
you,
great
Milton.
job
That is,
with it.
it is an honor
Thank you,
coming
Milton.
back.
Mhm.
I can't wait to hear it.
Yep.
Like,
That is. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
All right.
Item number 7 is the presentation of annual audit report. Angel Johnston and Blassingame, and I think Mr. Blassingame is here.
Right.
Thank you.
And I just noticed that I didn't bring the little audit acknowledgement with me that you're supposed to sign tonight. So as soon as I'm done, I'm gonna run back to the office and bring it back up here to you. That's advantages of being here in town. Appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening. Again, my name's Steve Blassingame, and I presented the audit here, I think, the last several years. A little smaller room now. I remember last year we were in the auditorium, spread out. So this feels good to get a little more intimate here. Usually what I like to do on these audits, as in previous years, I kind of stay away from the written audit report. I have a separate little handout. All the information in that separate handout is in or taken from the audit report. And so if it's okay with the board, I'm just still going to limit my presentation to that. Now, later on, when you're looking through the written audit report and you had questions, or feel free to call me. I'm happy to try to address any questions that you may have there. With the smaller handout, the first 3 pages, and I've told you this year after year, but this is a communication letter. Our professional standards state that we have to communicate certain things to the entity that we're auditing, and we've elected to do that in a written format. And I'm just going to kind of quickly hit each little section. I'm not going to read word for word, just kind of give you a summary of what each section is talking about. The first one, responsibility under U.S. generally accepted auditing standards. These are your financial statements. They're not my financial statements. Our job was to audit those and to give you an opinion on those. Are they fairly presented in all material respects? And we've got about a 4-page independent auditor's report in the full audit that says, yes, your financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects. The next section, turning the page there, qualitative aspects of the accounting practice. What we're talking about there is, were there any big changes in policies or procedures that could, again, affect your financial statements? So keep in mind that my whole purpose is a financial statement audit. I'm not doing a compliance audit. I'm not doing a fraud audit. Now, if some of those things come up in the course of our audit, we're going to be talking about them. But my primary focus is a financial statement audit. If there were any changes in policies or procedures, an example would be switching from a regulatory basis to, say, an accrual basis of an accounting. Well, that would affect your financial statements. And so we'd have to tell a reader, and we'd be talking about those changes right now, but no changes like that in your financial statements. The other thing we mentioned in there is any estimates that may affect your financial statements. And in a school district, really the only estimates that are in there is that of any reserves or encumbrances as of the end of the year. Sometimes, you've got something out and you're not sure, you're obligated to pay them something, you're just not totally sure yet. And so you're estimating what that obligation is going to be. And the purpose for that is if you're obligated in that particular year, it's to be paid out of that budget year. And so that's the reason you're reserving those amounts. Difficulties encountered in performing the audit, none that I'm aware of. We always get lots of cooperation and gives us everything that we need, and we do appreciate that greatly. Corrected and uncorrected misstatements. During the course of an audit, there's always some, we'll maybe say, well, maybe we want to recode this or change this a little bit. If there were any recommendations that we had made to management, that management said, well, thank you very much, but we're not going to do that. And if they were significant adjustments, I'd have them listed here and we'd be talking about those right now. No disagreements with management that I'm aware of. Management representation, there was a separate representation letter sent to management that talks about a lot of the same things we're talking about right now. It just goes into a little more depth about any potential loss of funding, litigation against the school district. Again, anything that could potentially affect your financial statements. We did not have to go outside our own firm in order to perform this engagement. And then on the 3rd page of that communication letter, only thing I'll mention there is there's a section in the audit that says supplemental information. And sometimes that's confusing to a reader. They say, well, supplemental, did you audit those? Did you not? And so we're just saying, just because it says supplemental does not mean that those schedules and statements did not go through the same auditing standards of those of your basic financial statements. So any questions, comments on any of those communication items? All right. Now, if you'll turn the page, you should find one that's got some numbers on there. And usually what we like to do is just kind of lay your fund balance side by side from the previous year. And you can see that your fund balance as of June 30th, 2021, is a little over $2.6 million. That's about $130,000 more than it was the previous year. Your building fund balance is up significantly. It's a little over $1.6 million. That's up about $1.4 million. And we'll talk about that a little bit more here in just a second. Your child nutrition, you don't have a separate child nutrition fund. You've incorporated that into your general fund, and you are not the LEA of a co-op, so we don't have any numbers there. And then your activity fund, very small variance there, only $5,300 in that. Then we look at your revenue sources and your general fund and kind of compare those from one year to the next. And local sources, you'll notice they're up almost $600,000. That's primarily ad valorem tax collections. You had a little increase in your property valuation, so therefore your property tax collections will go up. You had also sold a piece of real estate this past year, and then you had some donations too, and that's the basic items that make up the local sources. County sources up just a little bit. County 4 mil collections were up $21,000, and your mortgage tax collections were up about $56,000. Then you'll notice a big down number there under state sources. That one, it's been all over the place this year with different school districts. Gross production tax is down. Now that has since reversed itself, and I think next year be saying, hey, those are up. They've been up everywhere. Motor vehicle tax collections were down $147,000. That's primarily, if you'll remember, there was a lawsuit, not just Chickasha, but a group of schools sued the motor vehicle allocation, and some schools won, some schools lost. You were a winner in the previous year and have since dropped back down. And so that's the reason for that fluctuation. You're more now on a normal level for your motor vehicle collections. And then your state aid, that's the big one that was down $1.3 million. And there, your state aid had a lot of things go into that calculation as far as number of students, any chargeables that you have, for instance, ad valorem tax, gross production taxes, all those different chargeable amounts affect your state aid amount. Then federal sources. Notice another big increase there, $2.3 million. And that's primarily the ESSER monies, the CARES money that the school was receiving. Expenditure-wise, you were up $1.2 million. Really just kind of a general overview there. Instructional costs were more. Computer costs were more because you got additional federal money, so that meant you had to spend those monies as well. So if you just think, well, my $2.6 million, I was up in my federal monies, you must have saved some money some other places there since you're only up $1.2 million overall in expenditures. But primarily it was just related to COVID and some COVID raises, operation and maintenance, things like that associated with a lot of the COVID monies. Then in your building fund, that's the other one that had a significant increase. Total revenues there were up $3.7 million. Again, a small portion of that was an increase in your ad valorem tax, but insurance proceeds was the other one. You had significant damage, hail damage, that you received insurance proceeds. And that's the same reason that your expenditures are also up. You had to pay to redo the roofs. So you still have some of those monies left, and I'm sure those will be spent in this 22-23 year in order to complete the roof projects. Any questions on any of those items? All right, you'll turn to the last page. This is again pulled directly out of our audit report, schedule of findings and question costs. And I remember last year coming to you saying, progress. That was a word I think I threw out, that over the last 2 or 3 years, you've continually progressed as far as least from our standpoint, is the number of comments that we come to you with. And I think I can say that again, progress. We're down to just 2 that I wanted to really bring to your attention. And these really aren't anything earth shattering at all. The first one just has to do with some encumbrances that we could not identify that were approved specifically in your board minutes. And the rule there is that any encumbrance has to be approved by the board, and to document that, it has to be in the board minutes. And those items, I believe, were just oversights on that. And so as many encumbrances as you do, that's an easy thing to look past. And then the next one, or the last one actually, has to do with the testing. When we were looking at the purchase orders, auditors, we just love picking on this. We do this at every school, and we say this at almost every school, is that we identified some purchase orders where the purchase order wasn't prepared or didn't appear to be prepared at the beginning of the process. And so everybody knows the rule, but just things happen sometimes. So just be sure that a purchase order initiates the purchasing process, and just be sure you have the proper documentation in order for that for the auditor to look at it and be happy with that. Not a tremendous issue, but enough that we wanted to just kind of reinforce that. Overall, again, a good audit. I think that's attributable to the people that you have. You have good people that want to do things right, and that makes for a good audit usually. So any questions or comments on any of this? Yes, progress.
I know, I kept kind of looking for it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. All right. Well, I thank you for your time tonight, and I'm going to run to the office and bring that back and give it to Jennifer back there. Oh, there you are. Okay. And it's just an audit acknowledgement. You sign that every year. It doesn't say you agree or disagree with the audit. It just says I was here and presented the audit. And then there'll be a copy of the extra copy of the audit that you'll have to get to the State Department. You know the drill there. So, all right. Well, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good job.
Yes.
Item number 8, discussion and possible action regarding athletic website agreement with Vite magazine.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Vite or not, but they do articles about athletics all over the state. And they approached me a couple weeks ago and said that they're getting into a website for athletics and writing more stories about your kids. And they've recently got contracts with several schools around us. And if we do our athletic website through them, they'll sell ads on our website. That's how they'll make their money. And they will cover everything that we already have. So our website's pretty good, thanks to the hero himself, Coach Mulder, and Miss Greenfield. And it would have the same things. It would have schedules. It would have contact information, all the same stuff that we currently have on our website. But when you go to Chickasha Public Schools website, you click athletics, it would then take you to the Vite link with all of our information and stuff on there. And they would do more stories on our kids, more publicity for our kids getting out there. They will do athlete of the month, mom of the month, those kind of things, just looking for different stories that they can do to promote our kids and our brand.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody looked at it. I figured stuff would come up, so I looked at, I don't know, Ardmore, Ada, and Broken Bow, and a couple of the others. I mean, their format's pretty consistent between those sites, kind of like ours is, consistent with other schools that use the same service, but they do it. It looks good, and they do a good job.
There is a fee. There's $900 and something fee annually, and then a $90 maintenance charge a month. But if they hit their goal for their fundraising, which they're pretty confident they can do it, then it would be free to us, as well as some of the other things that they're offering. They would print tickets for us as far as reserve seats at football games or general admission tickets throughout the year. So they would print those for us and do some other things, so.
Is all that included or is it extra?
No, the
Part of
tickets
it?
are free, yeah. We can do it or not do it.
Sure.
But they make their money back on putting the ads on the back of the tickets. They said, if you want to do that, we'd love to partner with you. I've talked to other ADs and they've been pleased with them so far. So it's just another opportunity for us to get stories out there about our kids and all the good things that they're doing.
And then, so we wouldn't really have to update our athletic page, right? Like they
We-
take
we
care of all
would-
that.
We would just send the information to them. So some websites have pictures of their coaches, some don't. If we send the pictures in, then we get them on the website. If we, as soon as we get our schedule, we send it to them, they upload it onto their, they'll upload any PDF, any format that we want on there.
So if they click it, you said it takes it to them, so they're leaving Chickasha Public Schools website and going to an outside vendor.
It's just a link to the Chickasha Athletics webpage
Right.
that they have admin on.
Yeah, it's kind of,
Third party.
yeah, but it's still, it's like chickashaathletics.org. So it's like a, yeah, active link, but it's still our page. They're just admitting on our behalf.
So if we do it, we get more.
Hey, look, I mean, what they
I
did
love
looks
the
good.
stories on the kids and stuff. I think that's
Yeah.
so great.
If we don't,
Yeah.
we keep it like we have, which is just fine.
No, yeah, I think that's fun. I just,
It's out there more.
is there anything about like the ads, like, they're all gonna be like G-rated, right?
Yeah, so basically.
I just.
Curious concern.
Yeah, for sure. So basically.
I know.
There'll be cigarette companies or pot companies.
Fundraising, since you're fundraising on behalf of Chickasha. And they said, we already hit your businesses up for the magazine anyway.
Yeah.
And it hasn't affected your fundraising and the community has it. And we've never been told no because we already do vite.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, and that's basically what they found in other communities. It's just addition to what you're already doing.
So a couple of things that I made sure, they do not control fundraising in regards to us, which was one of my big concerns when Jerry Don brought this to me. Where it says exclusivity in the contract, that basically means there would be the only company that would print tickets for us. It does not mean they have our brand, our mascot, or anything exclusively. So in looking at it, and then I've too kind of perused around, looked around, I think it has some great feature stories that we can really do on our kids. Like Dylan, I think would be wonderful. How many times do you see a freshman as a state champion? Undefeated. I mean, that's a great sports interest story right there. And
Also they'll do your band.
Mhm.
Yeah, they cover all.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get everything.
Yep.
They try to highlight all of it.
Kind of takes the, I mean, we all acknowledge that we want to do more, and I think we are doing more, but it takes the burden of formatting it, make it present to the public off the staff. So you get them a picture, you get them the info, and they clean it up and post on the website and write the story. And it looks really nice.
Schedules and stuff like
I don't know if Joe can pop up.
I think it's a pretty good offer. And once again, if we get into it, we don't
Who's
like
on the
it, then
computer?
there's a way.
Jennifer's
we can
on
simply
there.
move out of the agreement.
We're trying to grow and do something new and
Yep.
creative and different.
Yeah.
It's like reading a magazine.
They could.
I move that we approve the agreement between our athletic department and Vite magazine.
Second, McGill.
Motion Cliff, second McGill. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Item number 9. Discussion and possible action regarding agreement with Green Energy Solutions.
Okay, what this is about is we are currently looking at converting 15 of our school buses to CNG. And it's something that we have discussed for a couple of weeks now and have talked to some other people. And one thing I think is very important before we get going too far into a project like this is find out who all has converted their buses to CNG. and try to do a little bit of research and see how they like it. I have talked to Frank Solomon at Noble. They're fixing to send 15 more buses, which is going to make a total of 51 buses that they have converted. And I've talked to Dr. Myers, the transportation director at Blanchard. Both of these guys and Washington is the first one that converted their buses. And here's why, is because B&H Construction, who does the conversions, they're right there at Goldsby. And so Washington has had the conversion longer than anyone. And in talking with Dr. Myers at Blanchard and Frank Solomon at Noble, both of them say it's a win-win situation for us. Okay, number one is it's not going to cost us a dime to convert these buses over to CNG or to put the filling station in at our bus barn. It's not going to cost us anything. And what happens is we will end up with a dual fuel system, meaning that we will run on, if the bus is a diesel bus, it will start up on diesel. The engine will run on diesel until it warms up, then it will convert over to CNG. If we are traveling in an athletic bus and we are about to run out of CNG, it will convert over to diesel, and we will just utilize whatever the bus runs on. And one of the biggest things, when you look at CNG, you're looking at less than $1 per gallon, as opposed to what we're paying right now for unleaded gasoline at $2.79 per gallon. And I expect that to go up pretty quick. And we're paying $2.97 a gallon for diesel. And so for these guys, like Frank said today, he said, Dan, you'd be crazy not to do it just because you're not out any money. If you don't want to use the system, you could turn the switch over and run it straight on diesel. And so I think it's a good opportunity for us to look at this conversion on our buses. We would only do 15 buses right now because 5 of our buses are lease buses. 3 of our buses are brand new. So if we were to do it on those buses right now, we void the warranty. And so the good thing is this grant is available for the next 4 years. And in talking to Kyle Flint with B&H Construction, he said that we would be able to get the remainder of our buses converted over at that time. And it's about $20,000 per
So
bus.
it's a grant. Okay, because that's my big question.
Here-
Why is it free? Where's the catch? 'Cause
Here-
I'm like, this is
here's
great. I'm
what's
sold,
happening.
But I'm like, where's
Okay,
the catch?
the
It's a
Beller-
grant. Okay.
The Beller Foundation in Washington. Okay, you remember the Bellers that were
Ronnie
killed
and
in a
Donnie.
plane crash a few years ago?
Ronnie.
There is a foundation there, and what they do is they pay for it. They send the money to send a check to us to cover all the expenses. Then we send a check to I think it's B&H Construction is who we would send that to. So basically, the foundation pays us, we pay the company.
It's a wash.
And then whose fuel tanks are they? Green Energy Solutions or
Yes,
B&H
Green
Construction?
Energy Solutions. So
So they're also making it on the fuel. So they have an exclusive contract on the fuel tanks. They're supplying the fuel.
the only thing we're out is having our drivers drive the buses to Goldsby during the summertime to get
Yeah.
them converted. And that's easy.
And then it's that come with 4 slow filling tanks. Is that like an overnight field dance? You just
Yes.
kind of rotate?
It's a slow fill.
Yeah, you
And
can't
So,
take compressed natural gas and just
there you go.
push it through there like a normal pump.
So once the system, you can hook up 4 buses at a time. We'll have 4 filling poles. You hook up all 4 buses that need to be filled up. Once the pressure gets to 33,000 PSI, system shuts down. Driver comes out the next morning, unhooks it just like they would from an air compressor. No problem. And to me, that was one of the biggest fears, is just it's something different. It's a different type of fuel. And if you have your drivers putting that type of fuel into, they're not used to it, but putting compressed natural gas into a bus, how scary is that going to be? But with it being a slow fill, it will take place overnight, and it'll be ready for them to go the next morning.
I'm guessing B&H then, are they certified for doing the installs or provide you a certificate? Like, gotta make the insurance company happy too, right?
Yes, they
Okay.
would be behind all of that. And we did, one thing Rick and I both thought about when you sit there and watch that bus burn last Monday is how safe is this going to be? So I did some research, checked into it. We've got information from the company that what happens is there are wires running from the fuel tank to the engine. Once those wires are melted or torn apart, all fuel stops running to the engine. The tank has a fire release valve on it that once it hits 4,800 PSI, releases the fuel off. Basically, at that time, it becomes a blowtorch, not a bomb. And so it would continue to release once it hits 4,800 PSI until the tank is empty.
So is there any, I mean, is it just a different process, or is there any training or anything that you are considering? Do they come out and have to do anything, or is it just removing?
They would come out, Kyle Flint and his group would come out and show us everything that there is to know about it.
That's a great deal.
And so, I mean, it's a win-win situation.
Essentially better performance of our buses, utilizing this fuel. It's clean, which is another thing that we like, saves money.
Great.
And
That's one thing I've heard from everybody I've talked to, especially on their diesel buses. They have observed that they get more horsepower going up hills running the CNG as well.
Nice.
Said it's kind of like having nitric oxide in your tank.
Cool.
Yeah, we have hot rod buses. Right.
Another good story. Can we get an
Okay.
invite?
Yeah.
Sure.
No, we're just push it all out.
Any more questions? Then I need a motion.
Make a motion to approve the agreement with Green Energy Solutions LLC.
Second, Alan.
Motion McGill, second Allen. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Yes.
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 Thank you, Dan.
Thanks.
I got to stay right here. I've got the
Item-
next one.
Item number 10, discussion and possible action regarding service agreement with Learn, Design, Apply.
Okay, what this is in regards to is we have the possibility of receiving a grant. We want to apply for a grant. It is the Department of Justice COPS grant. Okay, and this is with school violence, trying to stop school violence. And it's a $667,000 grant, and with matching 25% funds from the school district. And this, when we got to talking, discussing access door control on our buildings, security cameras, intercom systems that are integrated within the district, that we can pick up one phone and contact a room or contact all rooms from this building here, we would then have the ability to do that. And when we got into discussing this, we came across the Learn Design Agency or Learn Design Apply, who are grant writers. And one thing about these guys is they have a very, very good success rate at obtaining grants for school districts. And I'm gonna go through just a little presentation here about the Learn, Design, Apply, if I can hit the right one. Just talking about the current grant funding. Congress passed this back in 2018, and it authorizes the Department of Justice to manage grant programs, including Stop School Violence programs and the COP School Violence Prevention Program. The act is guaranteed to fund at least $75 million through 2028. Applications must be submitted by the state or the local government or its public agencies, police departments, public boards of education, and so forth. And when I got to investigating this and looking into it, I was told that last year, Oklahoma schools, and we have tons, 500 and something districts in Oklahoma, only 2 put in for this grant last year. Only 2. And the lady told me that Oklahoma is severely underfunded when it comes to this COPS grant. And so she said it would be best for us to jump on it as soon as possible and try to go ahead and get this grant and help us offset the cost and do some of the things that we really want to do to help make our school district safer. In 2018, the COPS office, that was the first year of the violence prevention program. They had $25 million in grant funds. In 2019, that jumped to 32.5 million. In 2020, 50 million, 2021, 51.9. And it's going up more this year. And so it would be great on our behalf to jump in and try to get as much a piece of the pie as possible. The COPS grant funds up to $500,000 with a 25% match. And when you do the math of that, it took me a little bit to figure this out. I think it was Jennifer that ended up helping me figure this out. But 25% of 500,000 is not 167,000. Okay, but the most that the grant can be is 667,000. All right, when you take 25% of that 667, you come up with 500,000. So that's the 25% match. You can use these funds for intercom. You can use them for access door control, security cameras, panic alarms. There's so many different things that you can use this grant for. And they look at the crime rate in your town. Has there been any bad things that have occurred over the last 2 years, 3 years? We know that there has been several crimes that have occurred over the last 3 years that are bad crimes. And I have a meeting with these guys tomorrow via Zoom. And we're going to start sending them as much data as we can to try to state the claim as to why we need to be the ones that receive this grant.
Can we pay the 25% matching out of federal funds? Is
I
that
think
ESSER?
here's what I want to try to do. If possible, try to write it into the grant. Why we do not need to pay that, but to kind of exclude us from having to pay the 25% matching. And that can be done as well.
Also, in the event that does not work out, we would also look at other ways that we can cover the $167,000. We've had several ideas on it, so I think we have plan A, plan B, and possibly plan C that we would examine and look at for that piece.
What grabs my attention is Learn, Design, Apply. They are grant writers. Okay, and they've had a great success rate at doing grants. I want to go ahead and go down to this right here. In 2020, success for the COPS School Violence Prevention Program. Learn, Design, Apply. When you're paired with one of their grant writers, look at that percentage. They were 100%. The people that use these guys to write their grants, they were all funded. They all received the grant. Same thing in 2021. When paired with a grant writer, 100% success rate. And so another thing I like, this is a $5,000 fee for this grant writer. And the best thing is you don't pay the $5,000 until you're successful with the grant, until you're awarded the grant. And, you know, that kind of stands out to me is that they feel that they are excellent. Whatever they do in writing your grant, they are confident that you're going to end up getting one of those grants. And so that's what I'm here tonight for, is to try to get an agreement with LDA so we could go ahead and get started on this process and work towards getting these monies so we can utilize other funds to purchase the things that we really need.
Where are they located?
I don't even know. I've talked to them on phone and via Zoom, but I didn't ask where they were located at.
Come out.
The headquarters anyway.
Does it say on that paper?
The headquarters in Seattle, yeah. But they may have grant writers
All
in
over.
every state,
Yeah.
all over, yeah.
That makes a huge difference when you're writing grants, as if
when
You know how
do
you
it,
know how to hold your head just right and what
And
they're wanting exactly.
You know how
Yeah.
to word it in a way to be successful.
So,
They said they would provide us all the documents for it so that we
Yeah.
can use them for us.
Yes.
yeah, so that's
That'd be
great.
big, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Potential projects for us out of this funding would be access door control at every site. Security cameras, our security cameras need to be replaced that we have everywhere and then new.
Yeah, there's much needed projects.
Our intercom system
Intercom
is something
system.
else that we can come in and replace, which would be a great benefit, middle school, high school, everywhere.
Emergency call.
Yep.
Run up to emergency call, panic.
So there's so many things we could do with $667,000. Won't take care of all three of those projects. It might take care of one, maybe almost two.
Big chunk.
But what it does,
Definitely
folks, is it takes it out of a bond issue and opens up more money for other projects.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
What's our deadline?
Oh, I have, like I say, I have a Zoom with them tomorrow. They really think, it hasn't even been announced yet when the due date is for
Okay.
this year's funding. And so he said, Graham told me last week that it should be the end of April, announced by the end of April. So we have plenty of time to
Good.
get all the data that
Okay.
they need.
That could be potentially very exciting. I make a motion that we,
Approve the service agreement with Lynn.
say it again. Learn, design, and apply. As written. As written. Learn, design, apply. Second, Alan.
I have a motion by Gertis, a second by Allen. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Yes.
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 Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Dan.
Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
That,
And to make sure if something happened, we don't try to hang Dan later. If you don't pay anything till the grant's submitted, and
Right.
for specifically the COPS one, the SVPP, if it doesn't get accepted the first time, they'll do it again the second year and
Yes.
resubmit.
Complimentary.
Yeah,
You
so
don't- you don't have
always
an
win,
additional.
right. They still have to
No.
get paid.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
For that one specifically, I guess 100% success rate, they're
Yeah.
gonna do it twice.
Yeah.
Very nice on that success rate.
careful how you word
Moving
that.
Yeah.
Number 11 is the consent agenda. The items which concern routine nature normally approved at a board meeting, approved by one vote unless a board member decides to separate it. Anybody?
I had 0 questions.
No questions?
Oh,
Okay.
it did on the MAS, we had the contract for the year, which is our bid for all the services, and then there was like another little accounting statement for some services, but that's stuff that we're just paying that was outside the normal contract, or those add-ons, because it looked different. Different from there was like 2. One was like the contract for next year, and then they had
Renewals, it looked like.
another one, fiscal year changes or charges. Okay.
I move that we approve the items on the consent agenda.
Second, Alan.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. I do want to note that we did have a travel on here, and I noticed that some of the people who are traveling are here. Did
Yep.
they want to comment on their trip?
Rick, you might want to get it.
We would never want to not give you the opportunity to speak.
Talk about it.
So, absolutely. So.
You'll have to
good-
talk again.
Because it's on the consent agenda, good luck to the robotics and their 2 trips, and to the Bill Wallace staff. We hope you bring back lots of good info for us.
Lots of fun stuff. And Rick, you probably want to get extra background checks on that guy right
Yeah.
there. Maybe even some references.
I noticed on the robotics, we're taking 11 students and 10 adults. That's a pretty good adult student ratio.
And you'll have
So-
all their paperwork in, I assume.
Well, not unless the
coach will take care of it. I'm
The coach-
If he doesn't, then I
The
do.
coach will take care of it.
You get the same questions.
Okay, item 12, discussion and possible action regarding proposed executive session.
Second.
A motion, Cliff, second McGill. Any discussion? Roll call.
Yes.
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 Unless you're just dying to hear who the new principal and assistant principal will be, you are more than willing, able to call it a day. Otherwise, we'll be back in a little bit.
I did not bring my. Today.
That's a good picture.
First grade. One.
Item number 13, acknowledge to return to open session. The board entered into executive session at 7:08 to discuss the evaluation. Ooh, that's not right. To discuss, I'm finding it, employment, hiring, resignation of individual salary public officers or employees listed on Exhibit A. Authorized by 25 OS Section 307 B1. As president executive session where Robin Morse, Lori Allen, Kara Gertis, Zach McGill, Christy Cliff, and Superintendent Rick Crosland. No action was taken by the Board of Ed. We return to open session at 7:35. Item number 14, discussion and possible action regarding the hiring of individuals listed on Exhibit A.
So a couple of recommendations I need to make for Exhibit A. For the position of Bill Wallace Early Childhood Center Principal, it is my privilege to recommend Amanda Townley from Graham ISD in Graham, Texas, to be the next principal of Bill Wallace. For the position of Grand Assistant Principal, it's my privilege to recommend Amy Adams and to have her return home back to Chickasha and be the next assistant principal, and she is with us tonight.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve the hiring of individuals listed on Exhibit A with the recommendations Rick just made.
Second Clift.
Motion McGill, second Cliff. Any discussion? Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Item 16, discussion and possible action regarding the resignation of individuals listed on A.
15.
Oh, did I skip 15?
Yep, transfer.
Discussion and action regarding the transfer reassignment workday adjustment for the individuals listed on A. Do we have those?
Yeah, we have one.
Okay. I need a motion.
Make a motion to approve transfer reassignment workday adjustment for individual listed on Exhibit A.
Second Clift.
Motion McGill, second Cliff. Any discussion? Roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Now, item 16, discussion and action regarding the resignation of anybody on Exhibit A.
I move that we accept the resignations of individuals listed on Exhibit A.
There was one.
Second, Allen.
Motion Cliff, second Allen. Any discussion? Roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Item 17, discussion and possible action regarding the retirement of an individual. None of those. Item 18, new business.
None.
Any new business? No new business. Item 19, superintendent's report.
I'd like to say again, congratulations to Joe Mulder for being recognized with proclamation by Mayor Chris Mosley.
You need to get him a cake.
So, you're pretty awesome.
Or a parade.
Thank you for everything that you do, sir.
I want to add a tidbit in there.
Okay.
I'm coming home from New Mexico, driving in the car, and I get a text from this man that says, we have a bus on fire and it's been evacuated. And at this time, I've had 3 babies on a bus in Chickasha. And I'm in long ways away. And I keep reading. And as I start to panic, it says that Joe Mulder was driving the bus. And I instantly stopped panicking because I knew that if that was the bus that my 3 babies were on, Joe Mulder would have those 3 babies under control. So before I even knew that you were a hero, I was certain that you would be the hero. So it made me feel so much better to know that it was you driving that bus. And that then I found out my babies weren't on it and I was really grateful.
So I'd like to also say congratulations to state champion Dylan Bratt one more time. It's exciting to think about his future and what he'll be accomplishing for years to come. Remember, he's a freshman.
Yeah. Very cool.
Great work also to Coach Randall and his staff for all the hard work. A total of 6 wrestlers qualified for the state tournament. That's
Wow.
fantastic. The
That
future's
is.
bright for them.
Nice.
I'd like to say good luck to our boys and girls powerlifting teams at their state competitions this week. Spring sports kicked off last week, except for slow pitch softball, which we're bringing back. That will start the 1st of April. I'd like to encourage people to come out and support the Fighting Chicks and soccer, slow pitch softball, baseball, golf, tennis, and track. Say all that real
Nice.
fast.
Very
That's a
good.
boatload. Congratulations to the Pride of CHS as the band qualified for their state competition last week.
Mhm.
So you have to keep going through the competition levels and you have to qualify to go to state competition. That'll be later towards the end of this month. They earned superior ratings for stage performance and excellent in sight reading. I'd like to say congratulations again to Marianne Ward and Alice Ketchum for being named Chicken Express Employees of the Month. Thank you to Mr. Bowens for his presentation tonight. There's a lot going on there. Friendly reminder, set your clocks forward 1 hour this coming Sunday. Wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning. Make sure you do that. Set them forward. Daylight savings time begins. We will be closed next week. It's hard to believe this, for spring break, March the 14th through the 18th.
Wow.
All school sites and offices will be closed. Have a safe and relaxing break. And that is the report.
Woo! I move we adjourn.
Second, Alan.
Further discussion, roll call.
Yes.
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 Absolutely.
Congratulations, Amy. Welcome
We're
back.
done.
Congratulations. Yeah, we have to sign.